Well, hello and welcome to Understand Men Now. I'm Jonathon Aslay of jonathonaslay.com, and I'm so excited to be doing this live stream for you today. Our topic, the non-sexual types of touches, physical touches men love. So we're going to talk about those in a second. Really quickly, if you're brand new to my YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if anytime during this video the content resonates with you, please hit that like button so I can be seen in the YouTube algorithms. Really quickly, my coaching is what I call heart-centered radical honesty. It's direct, a little tough love, and a lot of heart. Occasionally, I use expletives to enhance a sentence, and if an F-bomb or two isn't your cup of tea, then I suggest logging off right now. Lastly, these are just my perceptions and my opinions. By no means do I suggest that this is the truth. You have to decide the truth for yourself. My hope is that I open up your consciousness in a way of looking at things a little differently because I am mostly a contrarian. All right, let's jump into those non-physical types of touches that men love. Touches, 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 touches. Okay, so let me first set the stage here for a moment. When it comes to physical touch, or any type of physical connection with a human being, I want to suggest first and foremost that this is all about at your pace and what feels comfortable and safe to you. Let me repeat that, at your pace and what feels comfortable and safe to you. So what I might be suggesting here today might be some things that you don't feel comfortable with. That's okay. Okay. I'm just offering you some ideas, and it depends on what stage you are in a relationship with someone. Let me repeat that. It depends on what stage you are in a relationship. And while some of the things I'm going to suggest today will be absolutely fine for a first, second, or third date, some of them might feel more comfortable for you beyond the first, second, or third date. Might be something that you feel more comfortable with when you're actually in a relationship with someone. So I just want to set the stage there for a moment. All right. In addition, I want to talk about something that I've talked about in other videos, and that is the understanding of what's called the 4 A's. The 4 A's. Now, the 4 A's are a multivitamin for for success in a relationship. And what I mean by this is that daily multivitamin, so it's something you should take every day to have a truly successful relationship. Okay? So the 4 A's are attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance. Attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance. And what we're going to talk about mostly today happens to do in the area of affection, because what is physical touch all about? It's about giving someone your affection. It's about demonstrating how you care about someone. I mean, and we do this with our friends. You know, it could be when we give someone a hug, certainly family members, when you give a kiss to one another on the cheek, most likely. Certainly with your children, how we like to hug them all we can and give them lots of affection, because this is one of the ways we demonstrate love. I'm going to repeat that. Through affection, we demonstrate love. So going back to that daily multivitamin of attention, affection, and appreciation, today we're going to lean into that affection piece. And these are physical touches you can give to a man that lets him know that you're not only interested in him, but you care about him. And let me just say this. What I'm also sharing can go absolutely in the reverse. This is something that men should be doing as well. So this isn't singular to, a lot of the advice isn't that women do all the work in the relationship. Men should be doing these things too. So let's just set that stage as well. This isn't just because my audience is predominantly women and I'm speaking mostly about helping women understand men. This goes both ways in this conversation. So I'm going to put on my trusty glasses and we're going to jump into the men share non-sexual types of physical touch that they like. Men share non-physical non-sexual types of physical touch they like. And by the way, let me also share this. I actually watched this on one of my contemporary live streams. Actually, several of my contemporaries have talked about this. And what's interesting is when I watch their videos, I'm like, yes, I like that. Yes, I like that. Yes, I like that. Yes, I like that. So it just occurred to me that while what I'm about to share is something that the fodder came from another contemporary's website or YouTube channel, I'm just sharing it in my own style. But the reality is this is what men have shared, the types of things that they like. So the first one I want to talk about is about lightly touching a man's arm, lightly touching a man's arm. And I actually witnessed this some years ago when I was out. I was having happy hour with a friend of mine. Her name is Tammy. And we were out in an area called Manhattan Beach, which is a really nice area in Los Angeles. And I happened to be near where a friend of mine lives. So I called him up and asked him to join us. And at the time, I was actually thinking about setting the two of them up. So there was actually a fortuitous thing happening there where he was available and he came down to join us for drinks. And we were sitting at one of those fire pit places where she and I were sitting on a couch and he was sitting on the couch next to us. So it was like a L shape. And I started to notice how she began, after they were connecting, they were really hitting it off. And about an hour into the conversation, it was mostly the two of them talking. And I was like, I felt like I was out of the, like, I need to go. I was like thinking these two need to get a room. That's a little exaggeration, but I felt like the third wheel. So, and I noticed that she was lightly touching his arm. And as I was sitting there witnessing this, I was feeling rather jealous. I was like, not because of my friend my friend's a friend. Not that she wouldn't have done it to me type of thing I was jealous over. I was just jealous that he was experiencing that. And I noticed that I think she did it almost on an unconscious level. It was just, there was this magnetism between them. And I really mean in a healthy way, this magnetism, but she was lightly touching his arm. And I actually experienced this a few years later when I was on a first date with someone who happened to be a Facebook friend. And while this woman, I didn't pursue a relationship, she did the exact same thing to me. So I'm just sharing with you, these are little things that men like. I asked him about it and he said he loved it when he later realized it. And it's almost on an unconscious basis she was doing this while they were talking. Okay, number 2. And I think the two of them did this as well. I'm trying to recall, but playing footsie with a guy or actually brushing up against his leg. That's a great little way to show a bit of affection. I can't demonstrate it right now because I'm sitting down, but lightly brushing up against his leg or even playing footsie with a guy. I know that's very childlike and very sophomoric, but when you're actually in a relationship with someone or you're forging a relationship together, it's a cute, fun, flirty, almost childlike way to say, I like you. And I love those childlike ways of saying I like you because let's face it, we are now in a place where, oh my gosh, we're all so uptight with dating. I mean, it is just so riddled with a lot of anxiety and angst and jockeying for position and trying to make people like you and all that kind of stuff. And I think back to, I think back to the high school days when dating just was fun. It had an element of fun because there wasn't the pressure of where this relationship is going. And there certainly wasn't pressure of getting married to someone or that expectation. So, and you're not dealing with someone's baggage most likely in high school. So playing footsie is a very childlike, sophomoric kind of thing to do, but it definitely shows affection and it shows it in a fun, playful way. Number 3, putting your hand on his knee while you're talking to one another. That's a great way to show affection when you simply just lightly put your hand on his knee. Now, from the perspective, I just, as I shared that, I was thinking about for a moment the Me Too movement. How about a man doing that to a woman? Well, certainly I think if a man is going to do that, he might have to feel like today we feel like we have to ask permission. But we men don't have that same boundary that women oftentimes have. So I'm here to say, ladies, men tend to appreciate that gentle physical touch. And in reverse, it could seem like it could be, like certainly we're obviously talking about in a dating environment, but I will say this. When it comes to touching for men, we oftentimes now feel like we have to get permission. And when it comes to women touching men, you don't need permission. I mean, unless someone is uptight and wants to create a cancel culture over the whole thing, men actually appreciate when women gently touch us in a respectful way, because it demonstrates that there is care, that there's interest, that there is this, maybe that there's a connection between the two of us. So putting your hand on his knee. Now, here's one I had happen. It was on a third date with a woman. And I remember we were sitting somewhere, and the way we were sitting, we were watching an event. We were watching like a concerts in the park type of event. And she began massaging the back of my neck. And I just thought, oh my God, I loved it. It was this was some years ago. This was a while back. But she lightly massaged my neck. And boy, did I need it, like I do right now, because those who've been following me know I wrenched my back a few days ago. I'm recovering. And, but lightly massaging someone's neck. I mean, let's face it, ladies, you like that. We men like that. It's great to get a massage. And it's certainly and again, these are non-sexual. I mean, someone can interpret it as sexual, but these are non-sexual ways to connect with someone in a very light, playful way. And nothing says I care about you like giving a massage. And I'm not here to suggest doing foot massage. I actually watched a TikTok video that said true love is when you give a foot massage to somebody who has stinky feet. And ladies, what I'm trying to say to you, if a man gives you a foot massage while you have stinky feet, that's true love, okay? And I know most of you are going, oh my God, I would make sure I clean my feet because I want to make sure it's pristine. But actually, if you want to test a man's love, have him massage your feet when it's stinky. All right, our next non-physical touch is grab him. Okay, so when you're walking with a guy, grab your arm around his arm right above the elbow while you're walking with him. So it would be simply like grabbing his arm while you're walking with him. That is a great way to show affection. Men don't necessarily like as much to hold. I think men are better served by holding a woman's hand and, you know, like showing that from a level of affection. And I think it's great when a woman grabs a man's arm above the elbow while they're walking, kind of bringing them tight in. And that demonstrates a level of like, I want you to protect me. And since men are typically taller than women, not in all cases, especially now when women wear 6 feet stilettos, you know, a 5'6" woman with a 5'11" guy, she could still be taller than them. But what my point is, it gives that feeling of like, I want you to protect me. And this is a great way. And certainly men have shared that this is something we like. I know I like it when a woman does that, and it demonstrates a level of affection and care. And certainly when we care about someone, we like these physical touches. So I hope you're gleaning some value here. Okay. Another thing is you can put your arm on his collarbone, you know, like it's, you know, places that are safe are places like these. These are little places you can touch men that demonstrate care. And last but not least, before we wrap up this section today, before we go into the Q&A, last but not least, and this is my all-time favorite, and I want to share the backstory before I share what it is, but I'll never forget, I was on a date with a woman, and we were having drinks. We were sitting across from we were sitting side by side with one another. And she said, this was some years back, and she said, Jonathon, you have gorgeous hair. Can I run my fingers through your hair? And I'm like, sure. And she did that. And then she said to me, you know what's really sexy, Jonathon? I love it that you do that. I love it that you do that. And by the way, most of you know I frequently do that. I think because subconsciously I think about the time she mentioned that. But there's just something about now, here's the thing, ladies, I know as men age in midlife, their hairline starts to recede. So with bald guys, you can't do this. And certainly guys that have a limited hair, but certainly there are plenty of men like myself that have a full head of hair. I just happen to be lucky because I haven't gone gray yet. There's my mom and dad. I thank you, mom and dad, for giving the 2 most important things women love in men, and that is height and hair. So I thank you 2 for that. By the way, those are pictures of my mom and dad. And so, but running your fingers through a guy's hair is a great way to demonstrate affection, that you care. And it is actually really sexy when you do that to a guy. So I invite you, certainly you may not want to do it on a first, second, or third date, but certainly once you've built up a relationship with a guy, this might be a great way to connect with them. So just to remind you with those 4 A's, attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance, we leaned into today affection, because that's demonstrating care, that's demonstrating interest, that demonstrates I like you. Physical touch is one of the, if you're not familiar with the 5 love languages, those are words of adoration or affirmation. By the way, I'm a Leo, it's words of adoration. So just compliment me and you're going to win me over for us Leos. Words, physical touch, as I just shared, quality time, acts of service, and gifts. Definitely check out this book. And I would say to you, if you had a man do a test, his physical touch is going to rank 1, 2, or 3 on his scale. Most everybody, for men in particular, physical touch is usually in their either number 1, 2, or 3. For women, it ends up on average tends to be 2, 3, or 4 on their list for the most part. And that's not an absolute, that's anecdotal from what I've observed. But physical touch is one of those key ways to connect with someone. And I hope I've shared or helped glean some ideas for you to consider when it comes, whether you're on a first, second, or third date, or you've begun a relationship with a guy. You can use, I wouldn't suggest using all of these at once, and I wouldn't suggest all of these on a first date, but certainly do what feels comfortable for you. And if none of these feels comfortable with you, that's okay too. You're just going to be SOL, because if you don't do it at some point, what the fuck is the point of being in a relationship if you don't touch each other? And let's get past this COVID stuff now. All right, time to jump into our Q&A. So for those that are familiar with my format and or those listening to the recording right now, this is only for those watching the live stream right now. We have a chat box in YouTube. You can post a question by writing the word question, put a colon, and then ask your question thereafter with a question mark so I know what your question is. Or you can purchase a super sticker or super chat. All of the funds to the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Aslay. Those who know me know my son. There's a picture of him right there and there, right there. My son passed away a few years ago, and I started a scholarship fund in his name to defray the cost of personal development for those who are seeking personal development help. In fact, recently I gave away $1,000 to the Hoffman process, And I'm also in the process of giving away some money to Insight seminars, as well as to discounting the cost of my coaching as well for those in need. All right. Before I get started, just really quickly before I take questions. So again, write the word question, post the question thereafter. And if you post a question, I can't see it in the chat box, post it again. Really quickly, I did throw out my back a week ago yesterday. I actually did a live stream that day. I literally couldn't walk for about 3 solid days. It was painful. It's taken me another 3 days to get to where I'm at today. And while I still have some residual pain, I want to thank all the love and support many of you posted on my community page. I want to thank you all so much for that. And in honor of giving myself taking a break of I'm wearing my Self-Love Club t-shirt. And if those who know me know, I wrote the book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work to take you down a path of inner peace. I believe the number one emotional health issue we're all facing is I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, and I'm not likable. And this is the journey I took to getting to a place of inner peace and my invitation. And by the way, all the books I recommend are listed below. And really quickly, if anything resonates with you, I do want you to know if you want to seek help from a coach, there's a link below to schedule a free discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. All right, let's jump into the Q&A board. And we have Miss Hurricane as our first victim. And I'm just kidding about victim, our store. All right, the question is, Miss Hurricane says, question, I started chatting with the guy I hadn't met in person, but he kind of ghosted and popped back up and told me his mom passed away, but he didn't kind of distance, and I don't know what to do. Okay, great question. So this happens frequently when we're communicating. So most people these days are meeting through an online connection. Most people these days are meeting through an online connection. So what happens is we're connecting through the internet, and most of our communication is either emails, text messaging, or telephone calls. And so in these cases where you begin chatting with someone, it is very common to get distracted in your personal life with, on whatever is happening in one's personal life and disengage in communication. The reality is most of the time we are meeting total strangers. We have no familiarity whatsoever. And let me just tell you something. And this is as a man looking at women's profiles, and I know women feel the same way. Most of the dating profiles these days are a fucking piece of shit. I'm sorry. The crap that's put out there. You ladies do the stupid Snapchat filters, and you do the sushi plate you just ate, and you show a picture of the mountains because it's so important. I see that you love the mountains. I mean, it's so important that I know about that. Look, folks, dating profiles should be crisp, clear photographs of oneself. That's it. Crisp, clear photographs of yourself. Headshots, body shots. So the problem is most of the time when I'm communicating with someone, I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I'm going to be attracted to this person. So I give minimal amount of effort. And what happened in this case, most likely, is he wasn't enamored with your profile. Doesn't mean that there couldn't be that there. Let me repeat that. There was certainly something that made him want to communicate, but I'm telling you, men only ghost when they're feeling doubt, when they only ghost or disappear in communication before you ever meet. Most of the time, it's because your profile isn't stellar enough to hook them to go, wow, I want to meet this person. Folks, online dating, your profile should look so fucking wow that it makes you should have thousands of men wanting to go out with you. That's how your profile should look. And I got to tell you something. I search through profiles every day, and I see a wow out of 1 out of every 1,000 of women. Now, I'd like to think I put together a wow of my own. I don't know, but I'd like to think I did that because I'm seeking a woman that wants to put a great presentation of herself. But Jonathon, I shouldn't have to sell myself online. Yes, you do. This is your only, look at folks. The days of meeting organically is becoming harder and harder and harder. The reality is in the future, 75 to 80% of all first dates are going to happen through an online connection. We are on that path. So you have a choice. If you wanted to get a job, let's think about it this way. If you wanted a job with, let's say, I'm going to pick Richard Branson, a very successful, supposedly a nice guy. If you wanted a job with his company and you were emailing him, wouldn't you put together the best resume ever? Wouldn't you want your resume to look better than every other person's resume out there? Sadly, most people put shit for their dating profiles, and garbage in is what you're going to get. So you wonder why it's a clusterfuck out there. The problem isn't the online dating sites. The problem is people. And I'm talking to you people right there because 999 of you women have shitty profiles. And if you need support with that, check out a link below. You can schedule a call with me to review your profile so I can tell you how fucking shitty it is. All right. So going back to what do you do in this case? Look, you reach out to him and just recognize that this is the fact of the most important thing. Use my formula 3, 2, 1, 3. 3, 2, 1, 3. All right. You got it. 3 email exchanges or text message exchanges should lead to 1 or 2 phone calls, and 1 or 2 phone calls should lead to 1 date. And this should all happen in a 3-week period of time. If you're not meeting someone within 3 weeks or less, the likelihood of success begins to diminish. But Jonathon, it's a long distance. Yeah, long distance relationships are a clusterfuck to begin with. There's the exception to the rule, but most of them don't work out because you don't either your lifestyle, you don't have a plan of how to taking the long distance into short distance. So my rule of thumb, 3, 2, 1, 3, only communicate with someone if you can get to meet them in 3 weeks. Go from 3 email exchanges, 2 phone calls, 1 date, all in 3 weeks. That's my invitation. And if you can't do it, then focus on people that can. All right. That's my rant. I hope you got value from that, Miss Hurricane. Thank you so much. All right. Weejan. Hey, Weejan. Weejan says, question. Do you recommend Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself? Any keys you took away from that book? Where is that book? Funny you should mention that. This is my library right here. Right there, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I love Joe Dispenza's work. I love Joe Dispenza's work. Folks, if you want to start breaking the habit of feeling unhappy, if you want to break the habit of not feeling good enough, feeling unloved, or not feeling likable, I highly recommend reading this book. By the way, links below to all Jonathon recommends books. This is a great book to begin working on your inner peace. Now, I want to share with you an additional book this is my Bible. This is called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. This helps you learn how to talk to the voices in your head, the monkey voice, the roommates, the sorority or fraternity that you have in your head. This book teaches you how to talk to the voices in your head, and I highly recommend getting this book after you purchase my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? Thank you. By the way, just a reminder, you can purchase a super sticker, super chat at any time to show that your appreciation. So yes, Weejan, thank you so much. That's a great book. I appreciate that you brought it up. So thanks again. All right, let's go swim in. Elaine says core values and personality are highly important. Yes, indeed. You've lost weight, Mr. A. That's my impression. Actually, I put on a couple pounds since my back hurts. All right, we're going to do another one from Weejan. Let's make sure. Catherine says, you're definitely a wow, Jonathon. Thank you. Gina says, you sound spot on with these views. You chime in with another relationship coach who says that's with one dating profile. One is holding the mic to one's mouth. I think I understand what you mean, but thank you. All right, let's see what else is here. All right, Weejan asks another question. Jonathon, how do you find balance from sharing enough of your past to let another understand my background and not let them use it against me later, 2 years, if we're in the middle of a disagreement? You know, it's funny. I'm reading this and I'm reminded of my ex-wife, and she was an elephant. I swear to God, she could remember every word I ever said in the 15 years we knew each other, or we were in relationship with one another. 12 and a half of that was marriage. And she would definitely use my words against me. It is a very human thing to use our words against one another. So to the extent that's a very immature way of approaching relationships. And yet it's a very human way, especially when we're heated in a fight, especially when we're feeling angry, especially when we're feeling unappreciated. It is very common to do that. So this isn't really an issue of sharing about your past. And by the way, I do have a video coming out shortly on that. But here's the thing. I'm a big believer of vulnerability, authenticity, and transparency. I'm going to repeat that: vulnerability, authenticity, and transparency. And I'm a believer of being rather forthright earlier rather than later to see if two people are on the same page, So I have a confession. Just a couple, was it yesterday? I had a telephone call with a woman who happened to recognize me. She wrote me on my Match profile. She recognized me. And while she's a long distance relationship and I'm not necessarily sure I'm interested, we end up just getting on the phone and chatting. And since I was I was actually in a place of what Tom Cruise in the movie Risky Business said. I was in a what the fuck moment. In other words, what the fuck? In other words, like, I'm not going to care about the outcome if I'm from the premise of being vulnerable, authentic, and transparent. What I mean by not care is I wasn't going to allow the fact that in a moment I was going to share with her some very vulnerable things about me. I felt safe enough myself to share some vulnerable things. So we played a game of 20 questions, and it was like, I asked her a question, and I asked some deal breaker questions, some really core value deal breaker questions. And I asked a question, she asked a question, she asked a question, I asked a question. We went back and forth. We ended up talking, well, a couple hours, it seemed like. But the thing is, we started to check the box. We started to eliminate the things I was asking was trying to get the deal breaker questions asked on very early on. Now, we do plan on meeting because she happens to be coming into town. I have no expectation of what's going to happen because, I'm typically not interested in a long distance relationship, but I'm also a friendly person. And when you make kind of a new friend, I think it's appropriate to meet, or it can be appropriate to meet. So my point in sharing this is I'm a big proponent of sharing vulnerable things. And she actually shared something very vulnerable with me that several years prior, she was rather overweight and she went through a regimen of losing weight. And the reason why she shared this with me, because there might be some photographs of her that I might see at some point. She didn't want me to freak out. And I really appreciated her vulnerability in sharing that with me. Folks, I'm a big proponent. Certainly, I'm not going to share every secret that I have in my life with someone brand new. I'm not a big believer of that. I believe that trust is a personal thing, an inner thing. In other words, I don't put my faith in others for trust. I put my faith in myself. So I divulge what feels safe for me. And my invitation when it comes to our, for lack of a better word, our baggage, our luggage, our past, I think it's important to feel safe within yourself. And one of the things I was vulnerable with her happened to be about the loss of my son. And I got very emotional over that. And as a man, that could be a sign of weakness. So why would you want to demonstrate weakness, Jonathon, on a first phone call? Because I don't believe being vulnerable isn't weakness. I believe vulnerability is strength. And if you're not familiar with the work of Brené Brown, I highly recommend getting the book Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, Daring Greatly. And one of the things she talks about is vulnerability is the true essence of courage. Let me repeat that. Vulnerability is the true essence of courage. And so I'm a big proponent of speaking your truth, just like chapter 1 in my book, Speak Your Truth, Do It with Kindness. And chapter 9 states if it's sincere and from the heart, if it's from a heart-centered place, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So could the sharing that come back and haunt you later? Abso-fucking-lutely. But you know what? That's just part of human nature. But Jonathon, only narcissists do things like that. Oh my God. How many times have I heard the bullshit narrative that everything is about narcissism? Folks, everything isn't about narcissism. I recently took a test on narcissism and I failed on it. 8 out of 8 things I've done, because if we parse parts of our lives, we all have selfish behavior. We all have stuff that can be inconsiderate. The most important thing is, are you grown up to handle mature conversations? Do you take responsibility for your choices? Do you know how to fight fair? Are you, do your actions match your words? Are you vulnerable, authentic, and transparent? And do you have a level of empathy? So I'm here to say, folks, trust yourself when it comes to sharing your past. Know what is no, and by the way, you certainly don't want to share something that you don't want on social media the next day, but certainly share what's vulnerable to you, because honestly, intimacy is how we connect with another human being. Intimacy, into me you see. I'm going to find a book here. Where is it? Bear with me, folks. Where is that book? Of course, I can't find it when I want it. The book is called Oral Sex. Here we go. Oral Sex. Oral Sex. Talking and listening your way to passionate intimacy. Folks, there is a distressing lack of intimacy in the relationship process. And if you want to build greater intimacy with your partner, then I highly recommend reading this book, How to Make Love All the Time by Barbara DeAngelis, instead of this book, The Rules, which is all short-term manipulative ways to hook a guy temporarily until he disappears, because bullshit manipulativeness doesn't work. So To end on this note, Weejan, I'm here to suggest be vulnerable, authentic, and transparent to whatever feels comfortable and safe for you, and recognize we're all going to use shit against one another. That's what happens when you get angry, and I wouldn't get too upset about it. Great question. Thank you so much for that. Truly appreciate it. All right. Colleen says, love, passion, and intimacy. Way to go. Jennifer says, I just connected with a guy 10 years younger than me. We shall see. Well, we should all see. Keep us posted. Gut and intuition, always just saying exactly. Narcissist is the word of the month. Oh, it's the word of the decade. I mean, everybody's a fucking narcissist. I'm so, that's how I feel about every time I hear it. And not to diminish people's true, if someone has been verbally abused or has had true breakdown. Here's the thing. There are certainly manipulative people out there. I don't want to discount that. But the most part is most human beings are good people. We're just bad daters. And a lot of people are just myopically selfish. That doesn't make them narcissists. But certainly if someone has felt wounding in their life, I highly recommend doing inner work. And if you need some help, I highly recommend doing the Hoffman process, which is a deep dive into childhood wounds and traumas so you can to heal your negative patterns and limiting beliefs in your adult life. All right, great question. Thank you so much. Colleen says, great content. Thank you, Jonathan. So grateful for how real you are. I love the books you suggest. Thank you so much. Sherry says, not narcissist again. I know, but everybody talks about it incessantly. I'm getting tired of it. And Weejan says, thank you so much for sharing. I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much, Weejan. All right. If you have a question, purchase a super sticker or super chat. And Jane jumped in. Question. Why would a man repel himself away from me and run away? I have known him since we were kids. We were chatting. I touched his arm and he screamed no and ran away. I guess I crossed a boundary. So he's a pussy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate of me. He screamed and ran away. What the fuck? I'm sorry. That just seems, for someone who is a friend, to scream and run away seems like such a, okay, there's two things going on. A, he has a deep wound and it triggered him. It's most likely what happened, deep wound and trigger him. But to scream and run away, my other thinking is maybe he puts you in the friend zone and just that physical touch really affected him. I know with a lot of people, when they put each other in the friend zone, they don't do physical touch because it implies a sexual touch. I have no idea why he did it, but I'm here to say anyone who runs away from physical touch is most likely someone who's incapable of being in a romantic relationship at that time in their life. So I'm sorry that happened to you. My only guess is A, it triggered something inside of him. B, he felt like it compromised your friendship. And so and whenever someone feels compromised, they typically run away because they don't know how to face it from a mature adult way. This is one of the reasons why I highly recommend reading the book, How to Be an Adult in Relationship, How to Be an Adult in Relationship. In addition, ladies, before the penis goes inside the vagina, you should be reading 8 Dates by Drs. John and Julie Gottman. And let me reframe that. Before it repeatedly goes inside the vagina on a regular basis, you should be reading this book. All right. Thank you so much for that question, Jane. I hope I helped. Thank you so much. All right. Let's go swim in. Do we have any questions? Janet says, thank you for the content you present. It's more apropos to more mature lifestyle. Yes, indeed. Folks, I understand you're getting a lot of dating advice from 20 and 30-year-olds or even 40-year-olds who got married in their 30s. Look it. I've been married and I got divorced. I went through alimony, child support, visitation rights, family court. I went through the loss of a job. I went through a loss of a child. I was in a significant relationship and that didn't work out. I'm here to say that my life experience understanding relationships is far greater than someone who got married in their 30s, has been married for a decade or two, and they know one way. Okay. And none of these people have had to deal with the swipe dating that's going on today. Most of the coaches out there who have been around for a while have not dealt with the bullshit we're dealing with right now. So the difference is I actually not only am experiencing it with you, I'm empathizing with you because I'm saying to myself, what a fucking mess it is out there. And believe me, I wish there was an easier way to do this. Okay. There's not. It's going to take some hard work. This is why I set up my private coaching. By the way, the link below to schedule a free discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. My coaching is all centered on teaching you how to pre-qualify your prospect. Folks, dating is a prospecting. It's not a numbers game, it's a prospecting game. And the better you are at prospecting, would you rather go out with 100 guys that go nowhere, or would you like to eliminate those 100 men down to 5 that have potential? That's what I teach in my private coaching. So check out a link below to see if that works for you. All right. Thank you so much. Weejin just gave a $1.49 super sticker. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right, Declan's World. Question: how to engage online men when all you do is reference your looks? All they do is reference your looks and doesn't do it in a respectful way. You know what? I'm a little bit picky. I'm going to be candid with you on a personal note. I had a woman email me the other day and she said, "Hi, Jonathan." And I wrote back, "Hi, Marie." And then nothing happened. And I put a smiley face after the hi. So I matched her words. And then a few days later, she goes, "How's your day going?" I go, "My day's great. How's your day going?" You know, the point is, it bored the fuck out of me. You know, then I got a text message, an instant message from a woman who wrote this long message. "I really liked your profile. I like this about it." She asked me some questions. She was curious. She was inquisitive. That's the one that engaged me. Folks, if you want to engage with a man, try my acronym called NICE, N-I-C-E. Use their name in a sentence, that's the N. Ask a question, that's inquisitive. C, throw in a compliment about them. And E, emoji or enthusiasm. Show some enthusiasm. The only way you're going to shift the narrative is ask deeper questions. So, you know, you might want to ask him a personal question. Go deep. You know, how do you feel about commitment? That might be a great, you know what? Why are we so fucking afraid to ask deep questions right from the get-go? How do you feel about commitment? Are you interested in a committed relationship? Make the guy jump through a couple hoops. The guys who jump through a couple hoops are more likely to be serious than the guys who are passively just, you know, testing the water. So I suggest ask deeper questions right from the get-go. All right, that's a great question. Thank you so much. By the way, this is going to be our last question for the day because my back is killing me, folks. So please send some love. I'm not healed 100%, so this is the longest I can sit right now. So Sadie's going to be our last question of the day. And question is, Jonathan, I went on a date with a guy whose girlfriend had recently left him. He was miserable and wanted to talk about her. What is the best time gap for dating men after a breakup? Oh my God, this is a great question. So this reminds me of, I'm going to share a story, and this happens to be more of a dating question, but I'll never forget right after my divorce, I was online dating and I met this great, I was really attracted to this one gal. She looked like Michelle Pfeiffer. I was like totally smitten. And she wrote me because my profile said I'm divorced. So she asked me how long I'd been divorced. And I said, well, I'm actually just separated. We're going through a divorce. And she wrote me back. She said, well, contact me in 18 to 24 months after you've had 1 or 2 transition girlfriends. And I wrote her back, what are you talking about? And she goes, you're not ready for a relationship. I go, no, I'm ready. I'm ready. I was in an unhappy marriage and, you know, I'm so ready. Sure enough, I met a woman a few months later on a dating app and we started to date. And 3 months into dating, I was so not ready for a relationship. I did the total dysfunctional moonwalk and pulled away. I didn't ghost. I mean, we had a very amicable ending and We actually eventually became Facebook friends, and she got married. By the way, she got married shortly after me. By the way, anyone who dated me, literally the next man they met, they got married to. I had the whole good luck Chuck thing going for the longest time. I don't know if I still do. But my point in bringing up this story is it takes time to heal after the ending of a relationship. I know when I was in relationship with my ex-girlfriend, it took quite a bit of time to heal from that ending of a relationship. So we naturally, oftentimes humans immediately jump back online dating, men and women alike, because there's a hole in our life. There's a hole when somebody's gone. And we want to fill that hole right away with some attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance. But most of the time, until we've actually healed the relationship, I'm a big believer. I don't want to date anyone whose relationship they haven't had a significant relationship in over 6 months to 1 year. And preferably they don't communicate on a regular basis. I have no problem with someone being friends, but I just would prefer that they don't communicate on a regular basis. That's 2 of my criteria. And Sadie, that's the way I approach it. 6 months to 1 year, and preferably not that they can't be family and friends with their past lover, but I'm not a big proponent of them having regular communication. And by the way, when you break up and people start to date other people, the communication does dissipate. So Sadie, thank you for that question. Okay, Weejan just sent a message. I don't know why the super sticker only sells $1.49. I want to show my appreciation more than that. Please rest well and be well. Thank you so much. That's so sweet for that super chat I think you purchased. So thank you so much. Actually, anyone who wants to purchase a super sticker, super chat, just a reminder, it goes to a scholarship fund in the name of Connor Aslay. So I'd appreciate it if you invest in a little bit in Connor. I'd be so grateful because you're investing in someone's growth. Folks, I'm going to wrap up. Oh, there's one more. Colleen says, I'm great. I am so grateful I was able to tune in tonight, Jonathan. Love and appreciate you. Share. Hope your back heals quickly. Thank you so much. Folks, I'm going to wrap up this evening. Again, if you find value in my work, schedule a discovery call with me. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Check out all the books I talk about, including my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? Listen to my podcast and join my mailing list. And again, if you'd like some support, reach out to me. All right. I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, giving myself a big, gigantic Jonathon hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Have a great night.